In the last episode, you heard from Miriam McGuire, co-founder of McGuire Shoes, who shared how to leverage retail stores as an e-commerce growth strategy. Now, today on episode number 43, well, get ready because Kyle Ewing is a serial entrepreneur who's built and sold several companies. He's now the CEO of TerraSlate, a leader in waterproof paper. And today, well, it's going to be an interesting conversation because we're going to talk about how to scale unconventional products online and achieve significant scale through e-commerce. I'm your host, Raphael Paulin-Daigle, and I'm the founder of Splitbase. This is Minds of E-commerce. Now, this episode today is brought to you by Splitbase. At Splitbase, we help leading 8 and 9-figure direct-to-consumer brands such as Dr. Squatch, Hyperice, and Amica grow through customer-focused conversion optimization programs. Our programs pinpoints exactly where your store is losing money most, and then, well, we help you fix it. The result, of course, increased conversions, AOV, and, well, more money. With our teams of conversion optimization specialists, performance marketers, conversion-focused designers, and developers, well, we've got your back when it comes to A/B testing and optimization. Go to splitbase.com to request your proposal today and learn how we can help you get the most out of your marketing spend. All right, Kyle, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me, Raph. Excited to be here.
Yes. Well, as you know, this podcast it's all about going deep and dissecting one key growth strategy so our listeners can get the most value right away. And one thing I thought was super interesting with you is compared to the other brands that we've had on the podcast, you have what I'd probably describe as an unconventional product, right? Waterproof paper. And that's drastically different than maybe scaling an apparel brand or a coffee brand or something like that. So maybe just to give a bit of context to our listeners, can you maybe just give us a super quick breakdown of what type of success? I think you've been running the brand since 2014. So tell us what you've been able to achieve so far, maybe with that brand since 2014.
Yeah, I mean, we've come a long way, and like you said, it's an unconventional product. Our primary audience is businesses, so I've had to adapt all the marketing from B2C, which I feel like is a little bit more familiar because we are all often consumers. But changing that to B2B has really been the challenge. And what we've been able to do is go from the living room of my house, where I was calling chemical engineers, trying to have them help me figure out how could we make waterproof paper or make paper waterproof without laminating it. Because when you laminate something, it's not actually very good technology. In the 50s, that was great, right? But it's not very flexible. You can't fold it. It cracks and peels. It's terrible for the environment. It's like, how do we solve this? And what I wanted to make is a waterproof passport, because when I was going through customs, they would always nail me because they'd be like, well, why is your passport all wrinkled? I'm like, because it got wet. But in my mind, it's still a valid passport. It's just wavy now. And
Right.
so they would constantly hassle me. I was like, okay, why is this not waterproof? So I developed this material in order to make passports waterproof, and going through all this like incredible amounts of work to do this and develop it and get it approved and get it in the right hands. We literally started to sell 2 a week. And I think my profit was a couple bucks each. And my first run of paper was 100,000 sheets, and I had this stuff stacked floor to ceiling in my little apartment. And I can't believe my wife was so tolerant. But from there, we pivoted. We realized the product is the material, not this single application for it. So now we've gone from making waterproof passports at 2 a week to 0 a week. However, we now ship millions of sheets a year, and it gets used in everything from biotech firms to restaurants for their menus. It's used for signage and the thing that hangs on your door at the hotel that says "Quiet, please." The NFL teams use it in their play charts. We've got grocery stores that use it in their pricing, and then a whole lot of military applications. So we've gone
Fantastic.
from my house to 4 different offices, and now we manufacture in 4 different facilities around the country. Plus, we have a facility in England, and now recently we have a facility in China. So we've gone in what will be 11 years this May from from like one sheet at a time in my bedroom to multiple state-of-the-art facilities. And it's been a completely wild ride along the way.
I love that. That's amazing to hear. First of all, congrats on all that success. Um, but I'm curious. Now, obviously, like you sell this to a lot of businesses, but obviously we're talking today because e-commerce is still important to you guys. It's not like you have a website with a phone number and you tell people to call you or to email you to place a wholesale order. Like you have all your products available online. You've got reviews. Your website has a lot of information. So obviously you guys prioritize it and it's a key part of your growth strategy. So I think maybe we can start first with acquisition, right? And then we can maybe talk a bit more about conversion. But first, when you're selling products like that, I'm guessing a lot of the advice that you would hear from my podcast or other podcasts, like you said, applies to, your typical B2C company selling goods. But in your case, when it comes to, acquiring customers and selling products through e-commerce, where do you even start? What's been most successful for you guys?
It's a great question. And the answer that I think people often want to hear is, oh, we're just really good at making Google ads and Facebook ads.
Yeah.
And I will go out on a limb and say we have figured out how to do that really well. But the challenge is it takes a lot of time and money and iterations and A/B testing to get good at that. And when you're a small company or a startup, you don't have the money to throw at that because you can't afford to miss or you might lose the whole company. So here's what we did that's unconventional, or that's, I would say, unconventional in today's day and age. What I did is I would charge my phone at night. In the morning, I would wake up and I would dial until the phone battery died, and I would dial for dollars. Hey, Raph, it's Kyle. Hey, we haven't met, but here's my product. I think it might be helpful. Can I get you a sample pack? There's no cost. I'll follow up in a couple days. Let me know what you think. And I would dial till the phone battery died, and then I would eat lunch while I charged it, and then I would kill another phone battery in the afternoon, because my personal mantra is that you don't need any money to make money. When people say things like, "Oh, you got to spend money to make money," I have this like internal reaction and my blood pressure goes up and I get sweaty and I just want to jump down their throat and Bart Simpson their neck and be like, dude, no, that is the only thing you say if you have no other option or if you're just being lazy, because everybody's got a cell phone. You basically can't start a business and not have already had a phone, and typically the plans are unlimited. So my thought is like, you dial for dollars. It takes a little bit of pride and it's going to get crushed like 50 times, but you will figure out what to say. And I saw this great TikTok recently. I don't remember the guy, but he was like, look, you are 2,000 cold calls away from being rich. And I about threw the phone when I put my arms up, because I was like, yes, that is 1,000% true. Because when you make 2,000 cold calls, you will learn, what does the customer want? What do they think of your product? Are they willing to buy it? And then they'll tell you what you're either doing right or doing wrong. And you won't know that if you just buy Google ads. Like, it's easy, sure. Like, hire a marketing company, they'll run up your spend, sure. But like when you talk to the customer and they yell in your face and they tell you to F off and die, you're like, okay, cool. I need to adjust that pitch. I did not land on that one. But then try to collect the no's, right? So like, this guy said no, that guy said no. I am aware that I just got to keep dialing and I will get to success.
Yeah.
If somebody's awful to me on the phone, I just say, yep, thank you, got it. And then I hang up and dial. Because if I don't dial, I'm like, man, I need a couple minutes to recover. I got to go like get some water and stand up. Then that bad call hits my soul and it hurts and it sticks. And what I want to do is like, hang up and dial, man. Back to the numbers game.
And I love that you're saying that, because one of the things that we've talked about a lot on this podcast and that at Split Base for conversion optimization, we think is number one is, smile and dial. Call your customers, survey your customers. There's no reason why you can't call them, but, surveys, just talking with the customers, getting their feedback, understanding what they care about, what they like, what they dislike. I mean, I was going to ask you questions about the website and we're going to get there. But, for conversion optimization and to acquire customers, that is number one. In 10 years of running this company, I still haven't found a method that's better than, talking with customers when it comes to converting people. So I love you sharing that. I'm
Yeah, and
also
and on that, I think that like when you build a relationship with a person on the phone, getting them to become an e-commerce customer afterwards is a very natural progression. So you
mm,
won't have to talk to them on the phone for every reorder because what you're doing on the first phone call is introducing them to the product. On the second phone call, you're following up. How are the samples? And then maybe that third phone call is you take the order. But then going forward, you don't have to do that. They go on your Shopify site. They know exactly what they're going to buy. They click, 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 boom, done, and the order gets fulfilled. So
yeah.
you kind of only have to do that at the beginning. And it's how you can get traffic to your store when you can't yet afford to buy it.
Yeah. And I'm curious here, how does it apply at scale? Is it still something where you have team members, kind of calling up? Obviously, you've got a big pool of existing customers. When it comes to acquiring new customers today, you said you got really good at ads, but is there still a portion of cold calling or anything like that part of the mix?
Absolutely. I still do 1 hour a day of business development, and it doesn't matter if we had the best day in the world
Mm,
yesterday or if today's going great or poorly. I do it. And then we have a sales team and they have a certain number of calls that they're trying to do each
mm,
week. And we track those calls. And they do an incredibly good job of talking to the customer. Like, in the way you know that is how long the call lasts. If one of your guys calls and you talk to somebody for 10 seconds or 30 seconds, it didn't go well. But when somebody's
mm.
on the phone for like 10 minutes, you're like, wow, I bet that call is going well. That customer is going to they're going to be interested.
Right.
So 100%. Like we try to put everything on e-commerce, right? Because it's easier to scale e-commerce than phones. But
Mm,
the truth is, like, the phones work, and we sell a
right.
product that you don't inherently know about, like waterproof paper. I mean, you mentioned it at the show, and I'm sure 99% of listeners have never even considered the concept of waterproof paper. So we have to introduce it to them. And the truth is, selling paper on the internet is hard because waterproof paper, when you take a picture of it, looks exactly the same as every other type of paper. And then
So
people are like,
true.
"Oh yeah, I get it. You're just laminating it." And we're like, "Oh no, like that's the opposite of the message." So
Mm.
those things are what's been really important for us to communicate through the website.
Interesting. At this point, now that you've achieved scale, would you say that the website now serves primarily as a channel for returning customers, or is there still a significant segment that you probably wouldn't reach through the phone that still comes in fresh and brand new through the website?
Yeah, there's a lot of folks that find us
Mm,
through the website and convert, and we never talk to them. It's if you look at our sales, and if we're being open and vulnerable, we do about half of our sales are in terms of dollars. People
mhm.
come into the website, they find what they're looking for, and they click buy, and we never talk to them. And then the other half, we're going through a sales
Got it.
process, or we're doing an RFP, or it's a cold call. So it's about 50-50 are just doing it themselves on the Shopify website. And the other half, we're providing some customer service for.
Got it. And let's talk a little bit maybe about the actual website. And, obviously, like you said, a piece of paper, a sheet of paper, no matter which one you're selling, it all kind of looks the same online. Conventional advice always says have big images, have a lot of images. Obviously, for you guys, that's not something that applies a lot. What are maybe some of the things that you've learned over the years? You've dialed down your Facebook ads, you've done some A/B tests. What are things that you have found to be true that when you're marketing this type of product, is needed on the website or is important or that might be different than conventional products on the website in order to convert customers?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Paper is, I mentioned earlier, hard to photograph because it doesn't look like anything. So what ends up happening is instead of photographs of the product, which you might use if you're selling gadgets or gizmos or clothes or whatever it is, it's going to be a photograph of the actual thing. But that doesn't work. What we found is that a mock-up that our graphic
Mm,
design team makes, a representative image, does it converts at like a 20x rate versus a photograph. Because like we have spent a ton of money on photographers all over the world doing sexy photographs. And the truth is, like, it's just hard to take a picture of a piece of
yeah.
paper and have it look like something somebody wants to buy. Like, even if it's wet and all the things, like we've been down that road 20 times. But what we call a mock-up which is a representative image, works really, really well. And it's not
Mm,
actually the product, but it's showing you how the product works and what
right.
it does. And then when they buy it, they're really happy with the experience because the paper really does do those things.
That's super interesting. I wonder what kind of role or how much have you experienced or played with videos, right? I'm guessing waterproof paper, there might be like a clear case where you take some water and you spill it on the sheet. Um, yeah.
Yeah, video is I think the most powerful,
Hmm.
and it's something we could even do more of. We talk about it regularly, um, but showing a use case in a video is much more compelling
Yeah.
than a photo or a mock-up because people understand video and they relate to it. They don't want to read, they want to watch.
Yeah.
And the very, very first episode or season, I should say, of Shark Tank had this guy named Kevin Harrington on it. Now, Kevin's a buddy of mine, so he won't mind me saying he got kicked off because he wasn't as good on TV as some of the other sharks. But
Hmm.
we did a deal not on Shark Tank. We actually didn't get to air the episode or record it, but we got introduced to him, and he made us a video that we put on our website. And that video alone
Yeah,
has
I saw that.
generated tens of millions of dollars for us because he has some authority and some social credit as a like one of the original sharks on Shark Tank, and he uses the product and he shows it to you. And that's really compelling. We also have some
Hmm.
videos of people trying to rip the material or like getting it wet, like you said, and those really help people and improve the buyer's confidence that they want to put their credit card in and try it. A couple other things that we really like, and I'm giving away the secret sauce for you and for your listeners here, Raf, but is something called Buy with Prime. And what that
Hmm.
means is you can buy TerraSlate products on TerraSlate.com or on Amazon.com. But what some customers love about Amazon is that they know the return is easy. You can pretty much return anything in any condition. And so they're not sure about that if they buy it through a private website. They also don't know about shipping. Now we do free overnight shipping for everybody on every order. So they probably get it faster from
Hmm.
us than Amazon in most cases. But nonetheless, you can, when you go on our website, terraslate.com, you go to buy a product, many of the products, you can either say like add to cart, or you can say check out with Amazon.
Buy
And a
with
certain
Prime.
number of
Yeah.
people will check out with Amazon. And that's a product that Amazon developed. We were actually one of the very first Shopify stores or e-commerce
Hmm.
stores to have this. We helped Amazon develop it. We were a beta tester for them. And it allows the customer to check out on your website, but use their saved credit card on Amazon, and they can do an Amazon return, and they have all that protection, which we've found is helpful because some customers are willing to buy from Amazon when they're not willing to buy through your website because they know it's going to get there fast. They can ding you on a refund. They can write you a shitty review if they don't like your product. And those things are valuable. So that's something that I recommend to everybody is add buy with Prime.
Awesome. I think to sum it up, as we're running out of time, one of my main key takeaways here is obviously when you've got products that maybe are not what I'd call sexy products, visuals still do matter, right? At the end of the day, if it's not imagery, leverage videos. I think, this is the type of product where if people are ordering large quantities, well, there's also going to be a strong aspect of trust that's going to be necessary, which, you've been able to achieve as well with that video that you mentioned. So demonstrating product capabilities, understanding the customer by actually talking to them, calling them, and using those objections, those needs and motivations to refine messaging through your ads and website. That all leads to success when it comes to B2B sales, which at the end of the day, I'm realizing is not too dissimilar to, other types of maybe more common products. The bases and the methodologies remain the same, the application a little different. Now, for the minute that we've got left, Kyle, what is one thing that you would do differently if you were to start this business all over again?
Oh, brutal question. I love that. I love that you went there. What's one thing I would do differently? There's probably about 100,000 things I would do differently, but the thing that comes to mind is I was afraid at the beginning to hire expensive talent because I was
Hmm.
worried we might not be able to afford them, and then I'd have to lay them off, or let them go. And what that meant was I had to do it all by myself. And I still fall prey to that frequently because I never want to get out over my skis, meaning like I don't want to outkick my coverage or insert sports analogy here. I'm a conservative growth guy. I want to grow at a rate that we can match demand, but I still want, I want 25 to 35% growth minimum. Some years it's 100,
Yeah.
some years it's 50. But like I should have hired better talent sooner. And if I need to hire somebody that makes $250,000, I should have taken that risk sooner because like it's who, not how
Yeah.
when it comes to business, and the best minds you can afford, even if you can't afford them, the business will grow into it and you will be able to afford them. And you will say, thank goodness I did this, because when you try to do it yourself, it doesn't scale. You can't scale your time fast enough.
Awesome. Kyle, this was fantastic. So we've been talking to Kyle Ewing, who's the CEO of TerraSlate. Now, Kyle, if people want to learn more about you, where should they go?
Yeah, hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm an active LinkedIn user. It's Kyle Ewing, Ewing. I reply to those messages as fast as I can. And I love hearing about people's stories and their products. And I can't tell you how many products I've ordered. When people said, "Hey, I heard your podcast. Or I heard you on something. This is my business. What do you think?" And like, I'm pretty happy to just buy the product. I love to be people's first customers or in that like early crowd. I love to support entrepreneurs. And then I'm happy to give you feedback. I'm a pretty easy grader. So like I don't like to nail people to the wall. That's just not who I am. But I'll tell you everything I love about it. And I'll tell you how I think you could position it in the market or get it to sell by itself online while you're sleeping, because amen, that is exactly what we're all trying to do.
Yep, exactly. Well, Kyle, thank you so much.
Thanks, Ralph.